Hello, all my scrapbooking friends out there in the scrapbooking world. Welcome back to Scrapping the Stash with Gail. And today we are going to review a process I've developed for brand new scrapbookers and experienced scrapbookers who want to simplify their process a little bit. I call it the 1, 2, 3 process. I've been using it for a little while now, basically to get myself ready for traveling to retreats and such. I make these kits, and this is just the process that I use to make page kits. So I'm not having to take my entire craft room with me when I go to overnight retreats or all day crops. Everything that I'm going to go over today will be in a printable PDF that will be linked down in the description box below so that you don't necessarily need to take notes. You just follow these step-by-step instructions. You'll be making 1, 2, 3 kits for yourself in no time and using them to be able to scrapbook much more simply as well as faster. The other things that making these kits really help is it eliminates decision fatigue and overwhelm, which is a big part of what we as scrapbookers really struggle with, especially when we're trying to do things in an efficient manner or trying to get multiple projects done quickly. So I'm really hoping that this process is something that you can adopt and then adapt into your own scrapbooking process and maybe eliminate some of the decision and the overwhelm from all the stash that you have. So I'm just going to dig right in here and walk you through the steps to making the kit. And then we're going to take our kit that we put together and we'll put together a layout. So the first thing you want to do is choose one large scale icon, multicolored, which I consider 3 or more colors, patterned paper. The example that I have here is this large scale roses and hydrangeas with some foliage. You can see the hot pink, the light pink. There's a mint green and kind of a rusty brown color in that. It doesn't have to be a larger scale. Those just tend to be the papers that we use less of because they're so busy. So that's why I tell you to choose just one. But it definitely needs to be multicolored so that you can pull in coordinating papers. The next step is to choose 2 matching color or small scale neutral cardstock for your base pages. Now I'm specifying cardstock because as we know that when we are putting together scrapbook pages, if we used a lighter paper for our base pages, they're very flimsy. And they come very difficult to work with, especially when you're trying to put them in your page protectors. So I would definitely suggest, especially if you're starting out, a heavier weight or thicker style paper or a cardstock. Now I'm also saying solid or a small scale neutral, which a small scale neutral would be something like this smaller stripe or a micro dot, polka dot, or some kind of pattern that is very, very small, tone on tone background pattern. That also works very well as a neutral. And the last step that you take for creating these kits, these 1, 2, 3 kits, is to choose a mix of 3 solid, small scale neutral, or medium scale patterned papers, all of which would coordinate with these colors that's in your hero paper or your one starter paper that we are using to get our color scheme. So a great example of this is going to be, here's a solid. So if we chose the green solid here, you wouldn't want to choose another green solid here. You'd want to pick a different color that's in your multicolor paper. So the example that I'm using here would be the light pink. And then this is just a light green stripe with the white, and then a brown background with some light green ferns as another, and you can see that that's medium scale because this is definitely smaller than this large scale, but still bigger than the polka dots or the stripes on this paper. So you just want a variety of textures, color, and medium, small, and large scale items. So let me walk through putting together a 1-2-3 kit. I have selected this paper, and most of you probably wouldn't go this bright with any of your papers, but I really enjoy bright colored paper. Let me zoom out here a little bit so we can start getting our kit together here. Now, this is definitely multicolor. You could go multiple different ways. You could go black and whites. You could go with the greens, the yellows, the pinks, purples are all mixed together. So moving on, what I'm going to bring in next are two matching solid papers. I wanted to be able to mute this a little bit, and it matched this orangey yellow that's in this paper. And lastly, I am going to bring in the mix of 3 solid small scale and medium scale patterned papers. I definitely wanted to bring out the kind of the red and magenta tones in this. Since I've toned it down over here, I wanted the option to be able to bring in this bright color as well. And then I also went ahead and brought in a diagonal stripe of the green and the blue, just because there's a lot of green and blue in the colored paper. And then just to tone it down, I went ahead with a neutral black and white, very small scale. Plus, again, if it got too busy or too bright, I can tone it down with this black and white paper. So now that we have our kit together, let's talk about some base page ideas that is going to take your scrapbooking process and put it on the fast track. So included in this PDF that I am linking down in the description, I also have base page layout templates. And now what do I mean by base page? It's basically the 2 pages that form your layout that you put everything on, that you put your pictures on, your title, your journal, all of your embellishing. All of those go on top of your base page. If you stick with these examples, you can put your pictures in any configuration with on top of these. I'm going to go through these very briefly so that you understand the concept, and then we'll move on to the steps to putting together the layouts with the 1-2-3 kit. So this first one I like to call half and half. You're basically taking a piece of paper and you can cut it in half, you can cut it 6 inches and place it on the bottom or the top half of either side of your paper. I have these arrows drawn here because it doesn't have to be 6 inches. It can be, you can move that line up and down as to how far up or how far down you want these papers. And typically the 12 by 12 sheet of paper cut in half is perfect because then you can use the one piece of paper on both sides. The next one is called bookends or the focal center. It's basically the same thing as the half and half, except you're running it vertically. So you'll have your printed papers running either on the side, either side with at like bookends, or you're going to place them in the middle of the 2-page layout for a focal center. I also have the arrows going back and forth for this line as well, because you can always cut one side shorter and make the other side wider. So you don't necessarily have to have 6 inches on either side. You can have 4 over here and 8 over here, however you want that to shift. The next thing is a frame, and you basically cut papers into squares and center them in the middle of the pages, or you cut them so that they meet in the middle. So they're either 2 squares on the 2-page layout, or it forms one big rectangle. and you can layer those as well. The next one is called a band, which is very similar to the half and half or the bookends. It's just that basically instead of it being on the end of the paper, you're putting it in the somewhere towards the middle somewhere rather than on the ends or the far ends. And you can either leave it as one or you can layer this as well. You can put both of them vertical, both of them horizontal, one vertical, one horizontal. Either way, all of it works. The fifth one is called the block. And this is a great way to use scraps, but also you are just using papers, cut them in blocks, and you're just layering them either vertically, horizontally. The trick to this block is to layer them. There's also something that's called a corner cross, and it's where you can use your zip strips for this, the pieces that you cut off of your 12 by 12 papers. But basically, you're just layering them so that they meet in the corner, in any corner of your papers, of your base pages. But you can also layer more than one. You can layer multiple lengths, widths, either way. And obviously, on a 2-page layout, you can create a corner in one corner and go diagonally with the other. They don't have to meet or be the same on both sides. Then obviously there is the grid. This is another really great way to get rid of scraps. Also, it doesn't have to be square. You can use rectangles and square. You're just basically developing a structured design with organizing photos and pattern papers or embellishments into aligned squares or rectangles. So that's why I give you that example there. And then lastly, I want to share with you that you can take any or all of these and mix them up and combine and layer multiple templates into one layout. For an example, this has bookends, a frame style into rectangle, and then added a band all the way across. Now you can put your pictures in any configuration on top of that, and it's going to look chef's kiss. So now that we have our 1, 2, 3 kit made, let's turn the 1, 2, 3 kit into a 1, 2, 3 process to make your scrapbook page very, very quickly. So the first thing you're going to do is to create your base pages, which we just talked about with the templates. So you're going to use your starter paper and the 2 cardstock from the 1, 2, 3 kit. So the number 1 paper and then the 2 papers, and create a base page following one of those templates we just discussed. Then after you get your base page done, the second or step 2 thing you want to do is to create your photo configuration. Now you want to crop your selected photos for size, variety, and configure onto these base pages for balance. Now you also want to keep in mind spots for a title, journaling, embellishment clusters, and then also consider manning one or all of the photos with one of those 3 coordinating papers that we have selected. When you're considering all of that, the reason that I have 3 is because something called a visual triangle will make it so much easier for you to embellish your layouts in a very concise and easy manner, keeping in mind a design element that will help you with indecision and wondering why your layout looks a little off. Now, down here on this example, it's still the base page that was up here. I've added the photos in the configuration that we came up with. And then also now I've added my title with a cluster, embellishment cluster, a journal box with an embellishment cluster, and a small embellishment cluster up here in the corner. So what that's making is a visual triangle, and that creates balance, and it helps the eye land where it needs to look at everything on the layout. Now, with the embellishment clusters, you want to create bases and just place the bases around your layout so that you can figure out where you're going to place these 3 embellishment clusters. I recommend that you use the 3 coordinating papers and any stash supplies that you have that will direct the mood or feeling of your layout to layer elements onto your embellishment clusters. And so now you can see with just these 3 steps what a nice layout that's going to turn out. It's very simple, but it's definitely elegant. It's precise, it's balanced, the colors all coordinate. And using this technique and this process is going to finish layouts for you lickety split. Okay, so here are my base pages. I have the 2 solid color cardstock, the hero paper I cut in half to 6 inches and made them bookends. And then I took one of the coordinating papers and cut them into a block. I think it's like 5.5 this way and then 11 inches this way. And then I just mirrored them on either side. So these are going to be my base pages for my layout. Now, once we have finished step 1 in our 1, 2, 3 process by making our base pages, this is the step 2 where you bring in your photos and configure them on the 2 base pages. I just always want to try to make space for embellishment clusters and journaling. So as you can see, there's space here. There's all kinds of space down at the bottom here. There's a sort of a cubby here, and there's a small cubby over here. So there's plenty of opportunity for embellishment clusters, plus your title and journaling. So we're going to move on to step 3 of the 1, 2, 3 process. And this is establishing your spaces for your embellishment clusters. What I like to do is when I'm trying to figure out my embellishment clusters is start with some kind of base for my embellishments. And I like to use circles because I tend to make all of my pictures square, hard corners, and my picture layouts are starting to become very linear. And so, especially in this case with the squares in this hero paper that we're using, I really need something to soften this a little bit and not let it be so rigid. And so circles are great for that. I love using the Stylish Shapes dies from Stampin' Up! For these. These are great embellishment bases. You can use the square, the circle, obviously, and then these are great banners for words, sentiments, and titles. If you're going to try anything to start with dies, this would be, in my opinion, the first one that you should purchase. What I really like about it is the fact that they have this stitching element around the outsides, around the border, and you can see that on these circles. It just gives just a little bit of texture and a finish to your circles or your die cuts. Excuse me. So I'm just going to start placing these so that I can kind of see where I might want them. You can place them under pictures, on top of pictures. I feel like that would be too close, so I think I'm going to go over here, and this would definitely be an under area. So you can see already that visual triangle and how balanced it is. If I try to put this up here in this cubby, for me, it's too close. Like it cuts this area off in the triangle, plus it's the same as this. Now I could bring this one down, and that would be a little better, but I like to spread my triangle out a little bit more. And so I'm going to bring this one over here. So that's just a little bit of my thought process here. I think I'm going to put that on top as well. We don't need that negative space in that picture can be covered up. So now I've got my 3 cluster bases and established. And so I can continue with process 3, the step 3 in the process of adding my iconic embellishments to make this, to finalize this layout. So now you can see that I have my predominantly 3 clusters. This is by far my large cluster because it includes my title. I have a medium cluster down here at the bottom, and then a smaller cluster over here to the side. I have repeating elements in all 3. That creates balance. And so I've got these little chevrons that I cut out of this same paper here, one of the coordinating 3 papers. I cut little arrows out of the red paper that I matted these 2 photos with, as well as cut out these little landing spots just to give that pop of red in all 3, the supporting color or my accent color for this layout. Then I also included my icons, which is just the roulette wheel, cards, chips, and dice over here by the word Vegas. I have the casino boardwalk light. It just reminds me of all the lights in Vegas, which is one of my favorite pieces of Vegas. And then also you can't go to Vegas without seeing showgirls walking the strip. And so I went ahead and found some showgirls on Canva and placed them over here. Again, with the chevrons and the arrows balancing all of the clusters. So just recapping really quickly, you make a base page, 2 base pages for your layout. That's step 1. You configure your photographs, and then you finalize it with step 3 by configuring and putting in your 3 embellishment clusters, making sure that you are developing or making that visual triangle. So I really hope that this process of making 1, 2, 3 kits and using the 1, 2, 3 steps will help you get some more of your layouts finished in a little faster fashion for you. I know with me working with Project Ketchup right now, having basically 3 months where I haven't done much of anything, I'm really, really needing to catch up on my Project Ketchup. And so you're going to see a lot of this formula that I'll be using over the months to catch up on that project, as well as get through some layouts quickly. Again, the PDF for all these instructions is included in the description below. I really hope that you have a fabulous Friday. Don't forget to check me out on all my socials. It's Scrappin' the Stash with Gail on Facebook and Instagram, as well as here on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if this video brought someone to mind for you, go ahead and share the video with them as well. And encourage them to like and subscribe as well, so they don't miss out, as well as yourself, on the upcoming content. So have a fabulous Friday. Keep scrapping that stash. Bye-bye for now.